You're listening to Back Pew Convos.
I'm Shawn.
And I'm Sal. And this is the podcast God wants you to listen to.
So if you want to remain in God's will, have a sit down
Grab a beverage of your choice.
and have a listen.
You're welcome.
Well,
Guess what? We're recording.
oh, weird
So say words to me.
words to you.
Not like that.
Don't like that.
Sal has words, right?
I'm full of words. I'm full of hot air and doo-doo.
Dodo.
Doodle. Doodle poop.
How you guys like that?
I was getting a little sup.
Is your beverage of choice?
Gotta wet my beak a little. Gotta wet my beak a little bit,
I mean, it wouldn't be right for us to tell everyone else to grab the beverage of their choice and then not grab the beverage of our choice.
Exactly.
And I didn't bring a beverage, so now I'm sad.
Oh.
That's because you're a rookie.
Rookie mistake.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So should we introduce you?
I mean, I figure
The world probably
I'm
needs
pretty
to know.
synonymous. What did I just say?
What are the words?
Somalis?
Salamalama.
Listen, the last episode,
Yeah.
we made a promise. We said, next episode, we're bringing on a guest.
We sure did.
You know what happens when we make a promise?
We keep it.
We deliver.
We keep it.
Yeah, the guys of Back Pew Convos, when we make a promise, we deliver. So here you have the first ever, the inaugural, the one, the only guest that we've ever had on this show, Cameron Case.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, it wasn't really their choice.
They're not done. The people aren't done.
Oh, sorry. Pretty much, I swindled my way in because Shawn's my brother. And so,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be the first guest, even though there probably are much better guests. But I'm doing it.
You're doing it?
I'm doing it.
Oh, the bleeps. I bet people are not appreciating the bleeps, actually.
They are still extremely loud in my headphones, so.
They're not loud in mine for some reason.
Yeah.
Are the bleeps loud in your headphones?
It's probably because I have the best headphones.
Maybe.
Probably.
Possibly.
Since I paid like $13 for them.
That's good. Say like 78 cents off Temu or something. No.
Yeah.
No, we have our first guest, Cam Dog, here on the show,
Yup. In the house.
ready to enlighten the entire world.
Potentially.
Everyone of all over the world.
Everyone.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Doom, 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 doom. Got the bass line covered there.
Yeah. So,
So, yeah.
you're my brother, right?
I am Neil Cameron Case.
You're my brother.
I am, according to mom and dad.
This is my
I
brother.
do not have any proof that you are or aren't really.
As an objective third party, I can say with pretty good confidence that you are.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there while you were being birthed, but I was there shortly after.
We have pictures of you holding a newborn baby that they
Yeah.
say is me,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But who knows?
There's like the whole story mom tells about how I prayed for a baby brother every night.
Oh,
Aw.
that's precious.
Well,
Yeah.
I never knew that Shawn was here solely because of the prayers of Cameron.
Yeah. Prayers works.
You manifested it.
I did. I did.
Hey,
But yeah.
dropping a little new age spirituality in there.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. But yeah. So, yep, you are my brother, in fact. Sal's my brother, too, just from a different mother.
from
and
another mother.
So,
Right. Those were things.
But yeah, all three drummers, all three have been first chair. Well, maybe two of us. Did you make first chair, Shawn?
I don't know.
Ever?
Probably not.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I wasn't the best one,
That is very true.
but I didn't get first chair.
Us cases, we don't be the best at like reading music, but we can just play.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm definitely the best drummer here, but don't make me read music. So like, I feel like the smart kids usually get first chair. No offense, Nate.
Wait, am I supposed to take offense for you calling me smart?
No, I'm just saying like someone who is very, I guess, detail oriented and like smart, they could figure out how to read music and potentially be better than a guy that has natural talent.
Keep talking. Keep going. I like this.
Yeah.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
It just sounds like too much work for me.
Yeah, it's rough. I could kind of read. I could read music decently in band, but it was mostly by ear.
I played, so my freshman year, high school, I played fourth bass in a marching band. I never, ever learned my parts. But I always was on.
Yeah.
I always played where I was supposed to play.
Well, who was your drum captain?
That was the year that Andrew Edwards was our drum instructor.
Instructor, yeah. Andy Drew.
Captain, I guess that was
Josh, maybe?
I think it was John. No, no.
Jonathan.
Maybe I can't even remember
J Hump.
Cat's name.
They were out of high school.
Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, no, I think. No, it was.
Or was it Benitez?
It was not Benitez, but the same grade as him.
Jason Smith.
Jason Smith. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the guy. I think he was our captain.
He's a good drummer.
Either him or Derek. I really don't remember.
Yeah. Shout out to Benitez if you happen to be listening to this.
Yeah.
Probably won't be.
And if you're not listening to it, shame on you. What are you doing with your life anyway? Acting like you got too much on your plate to listen to us?
Yeah,
Come on now.
Like you're setting up drums for Chris Stapleton's drummer or something. I mean, surely you have.
Hey, you think we could get him to get Stapleton on the show?
I mean, I've never asked him for a whole lot, so I don't know.
We've been
I might be saving up.
saving it up for a real good favor.
Yeah. What's funny is he freaking hates like the style of music that he is around on a nightly basis. He's a metalhead.
Yeah.
But
I'm not a big country guy, but I really do like Stapleton.
yeah, I mean Stapleton I wouldn't really consider country necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got a sort of a bluesy feel to it that I appreciate.
Yeah, he's real country. He's not pop country.
Yeah, he's like old school. Now Benitez used to work for like Florida Georgia Line, and
Now that's trash.
it's like pop country.
I actually kind of like Florida Georgia Line.
Well,
Get out of my house.
because they're pop. They're
Yeah.
basically like pop country.
I don't really like country. Really.
I can appreciate it. Just it's probably my age a little bit, maybe. I don't like Southern gospel. Sorry, Dad, but
I'm not sorry.
well,
I'm not sorry about that either.
yeah. I take back my sorry.
Peer pressure you into it.
Yep. But nah, not a crab family guy. You know, that's Dad's jam.
Yeah, always been kind of into. Me and you both have always been kind of into like different styles of music.
Yeah. I was telling Shawn the other day we were talking about what we're going to talk about on here maybe, and I was like, I've always been drawn to, I don't know what you want to call it, but like I remember my mom taking us to Owensboro, and it was called the Baptist Bookstore. It was over there by Owensboro Christian Church, and she'd be in there looking at whatever, probably Satanic Panic books or whatever, because it was the 80s.
Right.
Probably checking out movies to show at the church to scare us all to death. But
Scare the hell right out of you.
exactly. But so I would always go to the like music section, and I would go to the very bottom row, kind of like where they hide the big guy shirts, so you can't see them.
Right.
But anyway, so I'd like
Discrimination. They're trying to get you to bend over. They're trying to get you to exercise.
Trying to get, I
clothes
guess technically they're trying to do.
Joke's on them, because if I bend over like that, crack's hanging out.
Yeah. Crack is out. Say no to crack. But yeah, so like that's where I discovered a lot of. So this is going to show my age a little bit, but like some of the first heavier bands I liked was like White Cross White Heart. All the whites.
A lot of whites.
Not the White Stripes.
Whitechapel?
Well, Whitechapel come along a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Brad.
yeah. So like, I kind of try to skip past the Michael W. Smiths and the Carmens and Petras of the world. Petra was pretty. They were good, but they were pretty soft for me.
What about Deliverance?
Deliverance, yeah.
Mortification.
Holy
If
Soldier.
you didn't start at Striper, did you even know about
Well,
Christian metal?
yeah. I mean,
To hell with the devil?
To
Come
hell
on.
with the devil. That was very
To
not good with the church world.
the devil.
Those guys are still putting music out, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're probably 300 years old by now. But
Yeah, at least. Michael Sweet. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I've always been drawn to. It doesn't fit my personality either, which is funny because I'm, kind of quiet. Some call me shy, but I was always drawn to like kind of edgy music,
loud,
aggressive, like I don't know, something out of the norm.
Yeah.
Which kind of led me on as I got older. Another funny story. I remember I bought my first Strong Arm
Mm-hmm.
CD
I remember
there.
you buying the first Strong Arm CD as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, people that don't know, Strong Arm is I hate to use the word Christian, but they were a Christian hardcore band.
Yeah, I mean they sold them at Baptist Bookstore.
Yeah.
So whatever that means.
So what? Yeah. But anyway,
That
yeah,
makes it official.
Right.
yeah. So they got it through distribution, and put it in there. But
Yeah.
I remember I would listen to it in my first car. My '84 red Camaro.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would bring Shawn to church or wherever, and I would be listening to it, and it would scare the living crap out of Shawn.
I have a vivid memory of this actually.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think it's weird? I've always thought it was a little bit weird that there were bands that are like labeled, like you said, Christian band. Like this is a Christian metal band. It's
Right.
just like, but if you're Christians and you're in a band, like,
Yeah.
is it not Christian metal? Like if I do a song, I write a song and it's about my experience in life with anything. It could be like losing a loved one or my experience in life with rejection or fear or like just naturally my inclination, my viewpoint is Christian. Like just because I'm not screaming Jesus in the song doesn't mean it's not like, I don't know. I've always thought it was weird. Especially, I mean, it's a little bit different, I guess, when you've got like contemporary Christian music and like, or worship music. This is like overtly Christian, but
Yeah.
Right.
I've never been big on like selling Jesus,
Right.
I feel like some artists that's what happened. I mean, especially nowadays, like some of these ticket prices so pay $100 and come to this big arena and let me tell you about Jesus. That just seems kind of weird to me.
yeah.
Like we were talking about Carmen earlier off air. I remember going to see Carmen, and basically you saw him for free. The only thing you did was bring a canned good.
Right.
So to me that really is what it's all about to me. Like, the gospel's free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
that's
but
a little bit of why I've never really liked contemporary Christian music, like K-Love style music, just because I never it doesn't something about it. If you do like that kind of music, good on you. I'm not like hating on it or whatever, but just for me, it just didn't. It felt sort of fake. I don't know, not fake as in like they're not like real Christian or whatever, but it's just like everything feels so polished and like that's just not the Christianity that I know. Like the Christianity that I know is dirty and it's hard and it hurts and there's like, you know what I'm saying? Like the struggle involved. It's not like you are a mighty God all the time. Like you don't feel like that all the time, man. If you're really living a Christian life, you don't feel like singing "You Are a Mighty God." Sometimes you feel like singing "Where Are You, God?" You know what I'm saying? But you don't hear that kind of stuff on contemporary Christian music.
No, it's all pretty.
Not a lot.
I mean, maybe you do because I haven't listened to it in years, but
You mostly hear pretty uplifting stuff, which I mean isn't necessarily bad if
it's
you're
not.
in a down place.
Right.
Hearing something that's more uplifting can, benefit you for sure.
Yeah. I mean, music, all music creates emotion, whether they're talking about, no matter what they're talking about. I mean, I can cry. I've cried listening to like worship music, and then I've cried listening to like screaming music. Like, just it's all about like, I don't know. There's like a feel to music that sometimes will just get you.
Well, anybody that's lifted weights or done any kind of exercise to music knows that. Like, if you're like, I got a big heavy deadlift coming up, let me put on that song that gets me pumped, you know, like, and then, I mean, that right there is what you're talking about, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Backbreaker, Fit for a King.
That's a good
Heck
one.
yeah.
That's my.
I listened to that the other day, did a deadlift, and then broke my back. So
Well, there
it
you
was
go.
prophecy.
I don't even lift weights, but I feel like if I hear that song, I probably would try to lift weights, just because it's so.
I was
intense.
I sent it to both of you guys though the other day. I was it was Sleeping Giant. I hadn't listened to them in forever, and then I had some Sleeping Giant come on, and then I started going through all their old songs.
Yeah,
Man,
dude.
I love that style of music. I always have.
It's like beat down core.
Yeah, it reminded me of like Madball or something like
Yep.
Hatebreed. Like,
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, and they're one of those bands that we're out there kind of just saying, "Hey, this is what we're about, and we're going to scream it out to you." There's a lot of
they're
bands like
pretty
that.
overtly Christian.
You know, like For Today was a band like that.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And I understand, like, if you're going to run, I mean, if you're going to do things and you're going to travel, there are expenses. So, like, I don't really know. I mean, you can't do it for free, really,
Right.
you know? So, I mean, that's one thing that, I don't know.
Whenever you're a smaller band, for sure, you can't do it for free.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you make money off merch and, like, stuff like that. But, I mean, just the, I guess, I don't really want to sound like I'm picking on the big contemporary Christians.
to me, it's no different than like the pastors that are like mega rich pastors or whatever.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
the prosperity. Like there's not something about like making money because you have to have money to survive, but there's something about making abundance of wealth that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels exploitative, I guess.
Mm-hmm. No, totally.
I mean, especially if you're not giving a tremendous amount.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but I think we talked about it in the last episode, the rich man and Lazarus. Like Jesus talked about money a lot.
Yeah.
And it was never really in the positive.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like, no, there's the one example that everybody knows, right, where Jesus is talking to the young rich ruler who asks, like, what does he have to do? And then he goes through the commandments. He's like, I've done all these. And then finally Jesus is like, well, then sell all your possessions and follow me. And then he turns away. And like everybody knows that one, but that's not what not everybody that followed him, he tell them to sell everything. But there's no situations where he's like, you just hoard up all this wealth for you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I'm not, so that in that respect, I'm not saying like that the gospel or Jesus teaches that every one of us have to like sell everything that we have and live our life in extreme poverty, but there's no situation where he condoned living in abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good old brother Hinton, he always said, I've never seen a hearse hauling a U-Haul behind it. You can't take it with you when you get home.
Take it with you.
So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah.
you know
So-
what? Why don't you?
Why not?
So we've introduced you.
Yeah.
Why don't you
Introduce you guys?
tell the world about yourself?
All right.
bit. Tell your story.
Well, okay. So you want me to give like my social security, date of birth?
Preferably, you start with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's 40. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah. I'm 43 years young.
Oh no.
So I'm the older brother. Yeah, the older brother. So yeah, me and Shawn, obviously, as you know, are brothers. So we grew up at the same household. So we had most of the same upbringings. With me being a little bit older, I guess I was more in the 80s, like what I was talking about, Satanic Panic. So as far as growing up in church, I think I got a little more of that. But yeah, I mean, back to personal life, I guess, just a quick rundown. 43, I am married, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Lady number dos.
Lady number deuce. Second time's a charm. Have 2 beautiful daughters. One's 6th grade, middle school, nightmare. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 6th grade girls, I'm not a big fan.
Right.
In any respect of the word. But
I
anyway.
can imagine.
Then I have a freshman in college. That's weird.
Boo.
Right? I'm not old enough to have a kid that old. But yeah.
It's crazy she's that old.
I know. It's weird. I can't really handle it sometimes. She came home for Christmas break, and it was just long enough for me to get used to her being home again. And then she's like, all right.
Deuces.
Later, dudes. And I was like, excuse me while I cry myself to sleep. But anyway, no, I'm super proud of both of my girls. Love them both. But yeah, I mean, I have an interesting story, I guess, if we want to just go ahead and get right into it. I told Shawn we might name this episode like Finding God in the Midst of Trauma.
Yeah.
So.
And we might, but we might not.
We might
because
not.
you're not the boss.
That's exactly right. And if I would have learned that sooner, I might not be having some of these issues. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, I was raised in church, the same church that we all go to now. It's been through a couple name changes, but essentially, I mean, it's been the same church my whole life. Got married at a really young age. Of course, I feel like I don't want to say all Pentecostal churches or Pentecostal type churches do this, but I feel like they do a little bit try to like get you to get married at a young age.
There is certainly something to that, yeah.
Yeah, like if you're not married by your time you're 19 or 20, they start thinking.
Or at least when we were younger. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this societal change or whatever. It doesn't seem like that is as much now, but at least when we were that age, it did.
It's like find you a mate in church, and first one you find, marry her. So
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so that's what kind of what happened. I mean, lasted a good while. We had a good run. Everything was good to go. Got two awesome kids. Some of the hurdles I had, basically, around 2014, I started getting these little like bumps on the side of my legs, and I wore khakis a lot because I worked for like AT&T, so you had to wear khakis and polos. So I started getting noticed like little blood spots or like liquid spots. And went to the dermatologist. They were like, I think it's just some kind of infection or whatever. Gave me some meds. And just kind of went on without, thinking much about it. It didn't really get too much worse. Too much worse. That didn't sound right. Anyway, it didn't get much worse for a year or so. It kind of just like stayed there. But eventually, around about a year later, maybe a year and a half, it started getting worse. It would go to like my head, like I would have sores on my head, and then like sores under my armpits. And then finally I went to a dermatologist that actually knew what they were talking about. So I went to a dermatologist, and he diagnosed me with, get ready for this word.
I'm ready.
Hidradenitis suppurativa.
Okay.
We call it HS.
It definitely sounds made up.
Yeah, I sure wish. And doctors argue whether it's an inflammatory or anti. What's the other word? Not anti.
Autoimmune
or auto-inflammatory. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go.
So and it's kind of both, because essentially what happens is I have an overactive immune system. So like
Right.
I don't get common colds. I don't get.
Yeah.
Even as a child, when I think back, like I never got sick. Shawn was always a sick kid.
Yeah.
I never got sick, and
mentally sick.
well, yeah. But then, like so what? Essentially, he told me, he's like, there's no treatment or there's no cure. It's just we just kind of sort of got to treat the symptoms. And it started getting worse. That was, like I said, about 2000. I guess it'd be about 2016. Due to that, kind of had some issues, with the job situation, because I mean, it's pretty tough going to work and going into a public setting, into an office when you are, bleeding from your legs or bleeding from your arms, and you're like supposed to be waiting on customers, and it's just like,
Right.
Or you go to the bathroom and like maybe you leave something behind and you didn't realize it, and then people are like, "Oh, somebody left something in the bathroom." It's a very embarrassing,
right,
humiliating type of disease. But anyway, so in 2018, that's when, unfortunately, things started going a little bit downhill. With, I don't know, with relationships, in my personal life, actually ended up getting a divorce, and due to the divorce, I had a strained relationship. Not strange, but I guess it would be strange. Strained relationship with my oldest daughter. She, I don't know. She was young. I mean, she was, I don't know, 13, 14 at the time.
Right at that age.
Right at that age. So, I think she kind of had me pegged for, like the stereotypical, conservative Christian, Trump voting, Bible thumping, homophobic, one of those typical guys.
Right.
And
Theo bro, some might call him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I've heard that term.
But
so would you say, going through all the way up to this period, like how did your relationship in church change up to this point? Because I know you're saying that she thought that you pegged you as sort of that Bible thumping. So like, were you throughout this, were you still kind of heavy into church, or did
kind of? See, I mean, honestly, kind of like Shawn, and I haven't got into like deconstruction or any of that stuff yet, but kind of like Shawn, I feel like I just kind of just go through the motions type thing. Like,
yeah,
that's just what you did. You go to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. And, I'm a musician also. So like I was drumming then mostly, and Shawn played guitar. So that's back when we were playing like metal during church, which is
metal.
Right.
Pretty sweet.
We need to bring that back.
We do. Yeah. We used to have 3 guitar players, and yeah, it was nice. But, yeah, I mean, I just kind of went. I can't say that I had a great relationship with God. I mean, it was just there.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, bad, or either. It was just kind of like there.
Well, that's why I was curious, because at this point in your story, you're going through what sounds to me like a pretty low point. So I didn't know, know, how that affected your relationship with God or your relationship with church.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it didn't really affect me. I think her perception of me was just maybe based on a little bit of church hurt also.
Right.
I think you guys have talked about, we had a church split in our church that really, looking back, it really did a number on a certain age group. I feel like my oldest daughter was part of that age group.
Yeah.
Because that's all they knew. And then it's kind of like the youth group was taken away. And
yeah, I mean, especially I think when we should say, just because we don't know who the audience for this podcast is going to reach, but like the kind of church that we go to and went to at this time was very, I mean, we come from a rural community, and our church was small within a small community, so it was very family-like. Like it was almost like Kelly, this was before my time, but Kelly tells me stories about how like there would be like church-wide vacation trips where you'd go to like Branson, Missouri or whatever, or like it's that kind of like community to where like it's literally feels like a family. So when you go through like a church split, that's almost like
you lose
divorce. Yeah, it's like family members that are being separated. So that's where church hurt comes in.
And I mean, in some instances, like for me and Candace, it literally was splitting families.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of the church was art related, or was, I mean.
Yeah, because there was a good portion of her family that left at that time, so it was literally losing family.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, it was a rough time. I mean, looking back, I played a little bit of a part in it. Honestly, I kind of took a side. and looking back, it all worked out. I feel like everybody's good now, but yeah, it was an unfortunate thing that I feel like maybe had to happen, but I feel like everybody's good to go now, as far as I can tell. I mean,
yeah, in that respect, it almost does feel like a divorce, right? Like,
yeah, for sure,
because
yeah.
it's almost like when it first happens and it's fresh. Those wounds are fresh,
Yeah.
and there's people mad, and there's people hurt, and there's people upset, and then, as life goes on, as long as the two are mature, they can coexist, and the feelings start to mend, and there can still be a constructive relationship there. It just maybe isn't that same intimate relationship that it once was, So
Right. Yeah. 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 So I mean, to kind of get back a little bit on track with my story, so basically a lot of things happened all at one time. It was like a domino effect. So I went through the divorce. So basically I had to move in with my parents, at, 38, 39, however old I was. So, that in itself is not ideal.
right.
I'd started going my HS, as we'll call it now, because I don't want to keep saying hydrodentitis suppurativa, even though it's kind of fun to say. But anyway, so my HS is starting to get worse, and I started losing a lot of weight. Went through depression really bad. I moved in with them. My kids, basically, my parents moved basically their living room. They have 2 living rooms, and they made one of their living rooms into like bedrooms for my kids because I didn't have a house to put them in. So
yeah,
I don't mean, that's, kind of hard to deal with.
Right.
So basically I just remember, laying in my bed in there that I had set up in my mom's house, and just being very lonely, and just being, I don't know, super vulnerable. 'Cause it's like I've lost my marriage. I lost my job. I didn't really lose my job. So
you lost your ability to.
I lost my ability to work at a job. So I actually went to I went to my dermatologist, my family doctor, and a psychologist that I went and saw. They all basically were like, Cameron, you really just need to apply for disability. Like, I know that you can on some days you can work. And honestly, like, a lot of people don't understand my disability because, like, if you just look at me, you can't see there's anything wrong with me. Now, if I take my shirt off and show you my armpits, you'll be like, holy crap. Because, I mean, I have, like, literal, like, holes, like, like tunnels under my arms, in my groin, in my buttocks. It's a really, it's not a cool disease.
And that, like, I don't want to speak for you. Like, it limits it restricts your movement and stuff like that too.
Restricts
like
movement. So, as far as like if I was going to work out or something like that, I can't really be lifting weights because you might rip something in your arms. So I don't know. I kind of compare. I felt like Job a lot. During that time, in a way, as far as,
wasn't there part of his story where he actually literally did have sores too?
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually a literal part of his story. I was telling Shawn the other day, I think Job was like, wasn't he like super wealthy before?
Yeah,
his fall or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it was, and then afterwards it was
so
it
like
increased from even before. But
I wasn't like monetarily like super like wealthy or anything like that. But to just a good old boy from McLean County, I was living my best life. I mean, I had a wife, 2 kids. I was loving life, and so when that was taken away, and then I got the sores on the body, and it's like, but here's the thing, like, I never, like Job, I never cursed God. I sure as heck wanted to a few times.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, seriously, what else? What else could happen? And I don't know, I feel like I'm jumping around a lot, but yeah, I mean, so to get to like, did I ever like deconstruct or anything like that? Because I know that's kind of like
That's what we do here.
that's what y'all do around these parts. I wouldn't say I ever fully deconstructed. I never got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't know if there's a God.
Yeah.
I never got there. I did get to the point where I'm like, what the crap, man? Like I talk to God like I talk to you guys. Like,
Right.
I was like, bro, I've literally lived for you my whole life. Like, I was a good old boy. Like, growing up, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, didn't cuss, didn't do drugs, like, didn't have premarital sex, like, all the things.
Nerd.
I know, I was a total dork, man. Like, I was like the biggest dork. No, I was actually really cool. But no, like, you know, you live your whole life for God and as far as what you would consider, and then you're just like, this is how you treat me, bro? Like,
isn't it funny too? Because it's pretty clear to me, at least. I should preface that by saying that I always say anybody that tells you the Bible's clear has no idea what they're talking about, because there's almost nothing that's clear in there. But so then I'll preface that and then say I think it's pretty clear in the scriptures that the way that you live your life isn't based on whether you will be blessed or whether bad things will happen. Right? The sun shines on the righteous and the unrighteous. But we
Rains
all
on the just and the unjust.
Right, but we all have that feeling like what you just described, right? You're like, why is this happening to me? Like,
yeah.
I remember thinking that through, like, when me and Kelly were going through, like, the infertility issues, and, like, we tried for 10 years, and in that 10-year period, look how many people that, not just people, but people that we knew are having kids. And then even worse than that is when you, like, turn on the news and you see these people who are, like, arrested for abusing their children or for neglecting their children, and you're like, I'm out here praying, like, I'm living my life the best that I can for God, and then this is what I get. Like, well, but like I said, like, for whatever reason, we all feel that way, but in the scriptures, it's plainly not like that. But
no, I guess I never really thought it was biblical. It's just like you said, it's almost like you just feel that way.
Well, I think it is too, because at least I don't want to talk for Shawn, but I know that we have the conception of God that I have is of a father, right? So you're like, as a father, like, I'm gonna give my kids the best that I can give them. You know what I mean? And I guess in a way we have to trust that He is giving us the best. We just don't have the capacity to see that. At times it doesn't feel like He is, but
right.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and give a little spoiler alert. There is a silver lining and a happy ending here, but just trying to work through some of this with you guys.
We got to set the foundation first.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys at church, or not just guys, but people in church, especially, we got a lot of new members, or even just like strangers. They don't. It's really tough, especially as a man, because as a man you're supposed to be the provider. You're supposed to, when they ask for people, hey, will y'all pick up chairs and tables and take them out to the, or something like that, and you're just like,
no.
Do it.
You just
do
feel,
it yourself.
I
and I feel like, I know that's like self-conscious, because I'm like, I would, but I really probably shouldn't be.
I just can't want to.
Yeah, can't want to. But I just so I guess I just thought I would like kind of give a little explanation of my condition. But so I work for the state, technically. So I get a check every month from the state. No, that's what I tell people. I mean, I had a good career. I actually I'm still licensed in insurance, property and casualty insurance. Did that for a long time. Worked for AT&T. So I mean, I had a decent career going. But going back to the sad part a little bit. While I was in like mom and dad's little tiny bedroom by myself, I I didn't know what else to do, but to just sometimes I would get the Bible, like the audio Bible, and I would just play it. I would go to sleep to it. I would just pick a random chapter or random whatever, and I would just play it. And I don't like worship music.
Yeah,
I mean, as we talked about earlier, I don't listen to worship music for entertainment,
Right.
because, and I don't think you really should.
I don't
I
even.
mean, that could be another topic, a whole other conversation. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of worship music as far as like, yeah, dude, this is awesome. Like,
Shaw,
the
dude.
musicianship is so killer on this song, dude. But yeah, so like, but I did find myself listening to a few. I had a little playlist that I would listen to, and it kind of got me. It got me through some hard times. But yeah, like I said, I never fully deconstructed. I like to say maybe I rearranged a few rooms, kind of took out some trash, you
Did a
know.
little remodeling.
Yeah,
Remodeling, yeah.
yeah. Took out a little,
That's Peyton. No, that's Andrew's word. Remodel.
I think we spoke his name on here.
Sometimes he'll probably be the next guest. Actually,
Oh, I'll probably do much better than me, but no, it's okay.
no, you're doing good.
No,
Which
it's
I should say to from my point and my perspective on that is like I don't the way that I use the word deconstruction, I don't expect everybody to deconstruct all the way down, nor do I want everybody to deconstruct all the way down to nothing.
Right.
To me, what you're describing is a deconstruction. Like that's just removing the parts that no longer fit or that are no longer good. You know, removing the junk and replacing it with the good. So
Yeah, and I mean, there was a couple scriptures that were go-to scriptures that I would quote to myself. I mean, not really quote, but I would read to myself. Uncle Steve, our pastor, he, I counsel with him quite a bit, going through that divorce, and he gave me a couple scriptures. I'll just go ahead and read one of them. Psalms 91, 4 and 6. It says, "He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that walk in the darkness, nor the destruction that lays waste on noonday, or at noonday." So that was one of the scriptures that I would kind of say to myself, just quoting scriptures like that. Of course, when you're going through stuff, everybody's got a fix for you. You know, I had a lot of people reach out.
Of course.
And it's like, hey, man, you should do this or that or this or that. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. There was a period of time where I kept going to church. My HS was worse than it had ever been. I would get prayer. Every time I go to church, I would just go straight up and get prayer. I remember a really humbling experience that happened one time, and I might get emotional, but I remember I was going through it really bad one Sunday night, and I went up for prayer, and this is when Brother Dane was still alive, and he asked me to sit down in a chair, and I sat down, and he ended up going in the back, and he actually brought out some water, and he ended up washing my feet. And that was very humbling, especially at that time. I'm pretty sure I was like crying like a baby. And that's like one of my best and like one of my last memories of Brother Ronnie, actually, because he was really sick at that time.
Yeah.
And he did that for me, and it was just that was awesome.
he was one of a kind for sure.
He was.
He was a
I
good
mean,
dude.
well, I feel like, yeah, I've had a lot of Brother Ronnie stories.
Married me and Kelly.
Yeah, he's one of the best. I mean, top tier dude. But anyway,
Which, I mean, maybe for those that don't know, we should tell, like, he was the associate pastor
yeah,
at our church for years. Like, we
right,
grew up with him, or me and you, me and
yeah,
Well, he
my
was
bro here.
He was associate pastor when I started going there. So
Yeah, so it's like, founding pastors were brother and sister Hinton, Lyndall and Annette. And then he eventually got associate pastors, which were Brother Ronnie, Dame, and then Uncle Steve, which is now the pastor, and then Brother Kenny Darty, obviously. He was also an associate pastor for a while, which R.I.P.
Yeah.
He's gone on to be with the Lord. But so yeah, we've had a lot of really good men of God come through our church that have been in leadership positions.
Yeah.
We've had the best, honestly. And our Papaw case, before them, he was something else. A lot of people don't remember him, but
Yeah, sadly, I don't remember a whole lot about him. I think I was like 6 when he died.
yeah,
So
yeah, he was a guy that had a heart of gold. I mean, he would pick up people's trash for a living, and even if you paid him or not, he would still pick it up. He didn't have much of an education. He was in World War II. Didn't want to talk about that a lot, but I think he went through some pretty gnarly stuff over there from what Dad's told me. But I just remember him getting all fired up, and he would have his devil stick, which was basically just like a little pointer stick, and he would, if people at church wasn't getting fired up like they ought to, he'd get that stick up there and just start. I don't even know what he said on the mic. He just started hollering, and
he would have beat me to death by now. Probably.
yeah, he was chasing them devils out, and he actually was buried with that stick, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, so yeah, had a lot of good mentors.
I think we one year at this is just a random memory that popped in my head. One year at church camp, we made devil sticks.
Yeah,
I think I've still got mine somewhere.
probably. If you don't, Mom for sure does.
Yeah,
She
does.
She's got all of our stuff in the garage.
She's pack rat. She'll keep everything.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff, but
And I kind of want her to.
yeah, I'm like, at first I was like, why are you doing that? But now that I'm getting older, I'm like, I'll call her sometimes, and be like, hey, do you still got my like action figures?
I think it is a mom thing because my mom has all that stuff still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I have some of it now here at my house because she kept it and I was able to get it,
exactly. Now I have a whole like tote of band T-shirts that I bought back when I could wear, large and extra large shirts.
Yeah.
So like, eventually I'll wear those again.
I seen a picture on Facebook the other day and it was like these old Ninja Turtle bowls. And I can't remember. I think they were from like 1992 or 1993, something like that. And I still in the cabinet now have that exact bowl because my mom still had it and she gave it to me. And now
That's awesome.
I still use it to this day.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we've got lots of stuff. Yeah, we recently moved into a new home and it's got a basement, and I was able to sort of create this like, I don't know, this little display cabinet that's got stuff in it. So I was kind of hitting up my mom for some old stuff, see what she had. Because I used to collect. I mean, I'm a collector. So I've got baseball cards, action figures. I used to collect the starting lineup, like action figures.
Oh, yeah, I still got a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah. MJ, I was mainly the basketball ones.
I have a bunch of the, I don't know if you remember them. They were called headliners. They were like the little tiny figures with the great big giant heads.
Yeah.
I have a ton of those still.
That was the bobbleheads before bobbleheads.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I still collect stuff. Kind of a nerd like that, but
Yeah, I have a whole room down in the basement that's called the wrestler room. It's just wrestling action figures, and I haven't set them up to display yet because there's still work that I need to do down there before I like get them all displayed. But there's literally hundreds of wrestling action figures down there.
that's sick.
Nerd.
Hey, just don't let the kids down there from church. They'd be stealing them. It's so funny. They all the little kids at church, it reminds me when we were kids, they just like dump out this huge bag of wrestling figures on the back row, and they just start going crazy.
I have to admit that as a parent, that's one of the great things about going to a sort of a charismatic or Pentecostalish church is that everybody is sort of not sitting in their seats being quiet. So if your kid's running around, it's not that big a deal because I don't know how I would do it.
Yeah.
Finn will not sit there. He will
Yeah.
not. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's a wrestling match every time just to try to get him to behave in our style church. So I can only
Yeah.
imagine like
Yeah, he likes to take off running. That's what I was telling somebody the other day. I was like, Nate's gonna get his steps in just chasing Finn at church. So, but he's a cutie batootie. So, but yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I really did my story justice as far as, I mean, it was super real in the moment. It felt like it lasted for a really long time, but let's get to I guess I'll get to the silver lining and the happy part. Unless,
Well, did
I'm
you
missing
actually
something.
talk about anything that you deconstructed or that you remodeled
well,
or whatever?
I don't guess I really did. I mean, I guess I started, I don't know how to say it. Like, I didn't super deconstruct.
Yeah. I mean, I was just curious. I didn't know, like, I mean, because, that's kind of what we do here. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
And I mean, me and you have talked about a few things, but like
Yeah.
me and you never even have gotten into like real deep like discussion about things that you've rethought or whatever. So I was
Yeah.
genuinely curious.
Yeah. I mean, I guess spiritual warfare is something I kind of rethought.
Yeah. Which is fitting since you identify with Job,
Right. So like, I don't discount it. One thing that I love about our church now is like, we have all types. I feel like there's like generations in our church, but we all like are there for the same reason. And we still have those, the prayer warriors that I love and respect. And honestly, if I need prayer, the people I'm going to call are the prayer warriors.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's their, I don't know if you want to call it a calling, but I mean, I feel like that's
what they do.
That's what they be doing.
That's what they do.
Yeah. So like, if I'm in immediate need of prayer, I'm calling those ladies.
Yeah.
And they know who they are. Most of them are my aunts. But
Not a bad idea.
yeah, I guess I maybe just started thinking of God in a more simple way. Like, I know you guys talk about like the love scriptures about God as love. And I feel like I've always kind of been that way in a sense. Cause like I've always felt like a calling in my life to like bring God's love to the people that wouldn't necessarily get it inside of a 4-wall church. Like,
Right. Yeah.
like that's why when I was younger, I was in quote unquote Christian hardcore bands.
Right.
And we would go play, like rec centers I'll be honest with you. One time we played a bar. I don't know if so many people know this.
Are you talking about whenever you were with Blue Orphan?
When we were with Blue Orphan.
Yeah, whenever we were, me and my brother were in a band called Blue Orphan Rescue at one time, and I was one of the guitar players and he was a drummer,
and I was just in the crowd.
and Sal was in the crowd. He was
About every time.
Moshing.
faithful fan. But yeah, we played Wildcat Saloon in Owensboro. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So like I was the only one that was allowed to be in there.
Yeah.
I think my buddy Benji Duval, shout out Benji, he got us a show there because his band played there a lot. This is before he kind of rededicated his life, got into church. But
I remember it was cold.
Yeah.
It was super cold, and I had to wait in the alley, like next to the bar, like outside of like the side door to the bar, like it's a damp, dark alleyway.
Oh, it was horrible.
It was like me and all the other underage kids.
Yeah, which was literally everybody but me. So I'm just like hanging out in there, but I mean, I wasn't drinking.
Sounds to me like you were suffering for the Lord.
Yeah. So, and then we get in there and we start playing our stuff, and they hate it.
Yeah, they do.
Because we're not playing Pantera, and like
that's where the classic "Play some Hank" come from.
Play some Junior, or whatever.
Yeah, we're in the middle of our set.
Yeah,
and some redneck dude at the bar turns around and says, "Play some Hank."
Yeah, it was pretty awesome actually.
No,
but I was a little bit.
We don't
scared.
know any Hank.
Yeah, it was good times though. But yeah, so like I've always been intrigued and like felt a calling to want to do that. Like I felt like that was my mission for a while, like as a younger guy, to take my talents to South Beach. No, to LeBron.
That's my That's my calling too.
Yeah. Now, yeah, to bring the gospel and not preach it. I mean, I've never been necessarily somebody that would be wanting to get on the mic and just want y'all to know Jesus loves y'all, and like yelling at people, that drunk people. Like I don't. It's just like, hey, that guy acts different. He's here, but he's not.
Yeah.
He just acts different. He's just not.
It's one of my favorite quotes. It's by Francis of Assisi. It says, preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words.
There you go. It's awesome.
It's like, just
like
live
that.
it. Like, that's the true. If you're really living out,
Yeah.
then there's no words necessary, Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was cool. I mean, actually, I'm kind of famous. Let's just go back a little bit. So, I'm 16 years old, right?
Yeah.
Oh, not right now, but
Right.
at one point in my life, I
At
was
one point in your
Many
life,
moons
you
ago,
were
you
16.
were-
many, many moons ago. So, like,
and that would have made me 10.
I got a flyer in the mail,
So I'm
P.O.
10.
box. Say what?
So I'm 10. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so you're 10. I got a flyer in the mail, and it said, it's from Our Lady of Lourdes.
Right?
It says Danny May.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like,
Sir Daniel May.
Sir Daniel. And it says, come to this show. It's disciple, spoken, and some opening band. I don't remember. I never
Was
met.
that not Ludacris?
Ludacris did come there, but I don't think that
It
time.
wasn't that show, though?
No.
Okay.
But
not Luda.
not Lou.
Lutai.
We're talking about Norma Jean before they was Norma Jean.
Norma Jean before, yeah.
Yeah. And not Marilyn Monroe, the hardcore band. Norma Jean.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. That was her name too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we woo.
All right.
But yeah, I got that and I was like, dude, I'm going to that show. Cuz like I never really had heard Disciple, but they had looked like they had they had long hair and looked like they were
I mean,
probably
my daddy could whoop your daddy.
Yeah. So I ended up meeting Danny at that show.
Yeah.
And didn't really meet. I mean, we met, but we didn't really like exchange numbers or anything like that. But I remember I wanted to be in a band so bad because I was like, I'm a drummer. I love this kind of music. I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? So I freaking wrote snail mail. I wrote a handwritten letter because I had Danny's address from the flyer that he gave me.
Yeah.
And I wrote him a handwritten letter, and I was like, hey, man, I don't know if you'd be interested, but, like, I'm a drummer, and I really want to be in a Christian band. I want to play, like, cool music. And I don't know if, like, you know anybody that plays, because I didn't know if Danny played at the time.
Right.
And I was like, if you know anybody that plays or, like, whatever, just can you, like, hook me up? And I gave him my rotary telephone number, So
Yeah.
no cell phones.
Landline.
Yeah. So like, anyway, I guess 3 or 4 days after the mail finally got to him in Owensboro, he calls me up and he's like, dude, I've been wanting to start a band too. And anyway, so me and Danny started a band. And what were we called? It was me, Danny, and our cousin Nathan. He was playing bass. I think we were called Threefold Chord.
That was the first band you were in?
No, I
I
lied.
thought the first band
I
you were in
lied.
was...
It was Norma Jean.
That's what you guys were called, right?
Okay.
Or was it... Yeah.
Yeah, let me go back. I'm getting old, as
Yeah.
I said earlier.
Yeah, you are.
So me, Eric McCarty,
There it is. Eric, yeah.
and Danny.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. Danny was like, hey, I got this buddy Eric, and we play covers.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got a show at Chautauqua Park, which is in Owensboro, if anybody don't know.
Right.
And so I remember was practicing this. I took my drums to this like Catholic church in downtown Owensboro. There's like asbestos in the ceiling. It was sketchy. But anyway, so we were kind of going over songs. I was so sheltered and naive. I didn't know basic. Like they were wanting to play. We played like Neil Young, Rockin' in the Free World.
Right.
We played All on the Watchtower.
Yeah.
You know, songs that most people my age should know, but I didn't know them. So I was just keeping a beat, you know. And I remember, so we had our first show at Chautauqua Park, and I remember there was this guy in the corner, and he was smoking weed. And I remember I was so freaked out. And I was like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here. I started getting all this conviction, and I was like, funny story, I was wearing an Audio Adrenaline t-shirt to this show.
Right.
So they probably was like, who is this freaking nerd?
Edgy.
Yeah, I was like, I might have had Jinkos on with him, though. So, but anyway, so we play our little show,
Airwalks.
and they're like, encore, encore. So Eric turns around, and he goes, Purple Haze. I'm like, what? And he says, Purple Haze. And I was like, I don't know that. Like, I don't even.
What's a Purple Haze?
I'm like, dude, what? So like, we just started playing it, and I just did the best I could. I probably butchered it, but like, we played it.
Yeah.
But I remember I was so convicted after that show. Well, what I thought was convicted.
Yeah.
That I ended up going to my youth leader's house after the show. It's like 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
And it was Tim and Jacqueline, Shockley.
Yeah.
And I was like telling them about it, and I was like, I think there was a guy smoking marijuana in the corner. I was like, I really wanted this to be a Christian band, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I feel so weird, and you know, it's hilarious thinking back on it. But I mean, I truly was like freaked out because I was so sheltered.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean-
So it's
Yeah.
like, but anyway, I'm kind of rambling. But yeah, so I went from that, and then we met a couple dudes. So we started the band Threefold Chord, which was me, Danny, and our cousin Nathan, who plays bass.
Yeah.
Played a couple shows in Evansville at the Rev.
Did you guys have vocals at that point? Was
Danny was doing the best he could.
Okay.
Yeah, he was doing. We did like some Plank Eye covers.
Oh yeah. Plank Eye.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Plank Eye's, that's my crap right there. And we played a couple shows, and then Danny's like, "Hey man, I got a call from Jeremy. This guy named Jeremy." And they were in a really cool local band at the time called Stone Silo.
Jeremy and Guy.
Jeremy and Guy. Yeah. So Jeremy Mate and Guy DeLacy, if anybody knows those guys. Cool dudes. Anyway, so we ended up, they're like, hey, man, we just quit Stone Silo. We're looking for a drummer and a bass player and a guitar player. So I was like, hey, let's do it. So I went out to this old farmhouse, Highway 81, and this really scary house. And their drummer he still had his drum stuff there because I guess he just never come and got it. And he was older than me, and we ended up like moving his drums out of the way, and I put mine in there. And I didn't have a very good drum set. It was kind of crappy. I remember later Jeremy told me, he's like, dude, I saw you carrying that drum set in, and I was like, this guy's gonna be horrible. But anyway, so we get in there and we start playing like Creed covers, Pearl Jam covers.
With arms wide
Yeah,
open.
it was actually the first album.
Prior to that.
It was Torn and
My Own Prison.
My Own Prison.
My Own Prison.
Yeah.
Should have been there on a Sunday morning, banging my hair.
Yeah. And our singer actually sounds just like dude, like Scott Stapp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really,
I think Guy sounded more like
Eddie
Eddie
Vedder.
Vedder
yeah.
than Scott Stapp, but yeah.
Yeah, he was, depending on.
So this is that probably was in the right time frame too, right? Like the 90s,
Yeah,
like late
so
90s.
I was
Yeah.
not, it was like 98,
Yeah.
99, because I was I graduated high school in 99. But anyway, so Climb, we named the band Climb, which I don't know why. I mean, that name's kind of, we thought it was cool at the time. It's like we're climbing towards our goal of,
It's a pretty cool name because it's like simple.
I guess, and it sounded almost like Creed.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, so what I said I was kind of famous. So we ended up playing some shows with Disciple. We got to be homies with them. Played some shows with Spoken. We actually did play with the band. They were called Ludacris at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They went on later to form the band called Norma Jean, which was on Tooth and Nail Solid State Records.
Yeah. Which that's famous to us.
That's famous to us, yeah.
In the Christian metal world, that's just
Yeah.
pretty much as high as you can go,
Yeah,
really.
I remember like sitting on the
Pretty
back
well.
couch, like talking to Josh Scoggin, like their lead singer, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, we just got done hanging out with Zayo. Like we just got off tour with Zayo," and I thought, "Oh my god, this guy's awesome," and
Right.
like it was cool. And so like anyway, we played. We got the show with Disciple and Audio Adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
Audio Adrenaline
Big
was
time.
coming to the Sports Center in Owensboro.
Big house.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's the shirt you were wearing for your first show in your first
Yeah.
band. So,
So- And like growing up listening to Audio Adrenaline, dude, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like this is huge.
I used to rock some Audio Adrenaline.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my kind of zombie. That was my favorite album of theirs, I think. I had the glow in the dark My Kind of Zombie shirt. It was awesome. It was orange.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. So anyway, we played. I don't know the capacity at Sports Center, but I feel like it's either 2,500 or 1,500. But it was like pretty packed in there.
Yeah.
And I remember being so nervous. It's sold out. I'm pretty sure it's sold out. And we had I remember there was a big news article in the McLean County News. That's when people still had the newspaper.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Sports Center's not the biggest stadium, but like even still to this day, they're like I think REO Speedwagon was just there, and like,
Yeah.
I mean,
we had a legit
people are coming and playing concerts there. So
yeah, we had a legit stage, legit soundboard. Because Audio Adrenaline brought all that with them. But I do remember. I'll go ahead and tell on Audio Adrenaline a little bit.
I was wondering. I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to bring this up, but I didn't know if we should or
no.
not. I was gonna let you do it.
I don't care to I don't care to say it.
say it,
Freaking Audio Adrenaline were a bunch of jerks. Okay.
Yeah.
throwing that out there, putting it on the airwaves. We're starting a beef with Audio Adrenaline.
Mark Stewart's dad used to be a pastor here in Calhoun.
Yeah. True story.
But I'll just go ahead and say it. They were jerks, dude. Like, so I tried to talk to them. We get to get there early for setup and all that stuff. And so I attempted to like try to talk to them, and they just wasn't having it. And then we all went to Moonlight to eat dinner, and like half of them didn't even show up, and they just weren't talking to us. So we were just hanging out with Disciple, because Disciple is way cooler anyway,
Right.
So yeah, we went there, and then but yeah, dude, I remember being so freaking nervous because I was playing Tim, the drummer of Disciples, drum kit, because they were trying to keep it to just 2 kits so they didn't have to move them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude. I just remember being so nervous.
So you didn't want to crack any cymbals? Or
I don't want to crack cymbals. I have a funny story about. I don't mean to just talk about music, but a funny cymbal story too. So anyway, yeah, I played that show. They made a big deal out of it. I got to check out of school early. Like, Mr. Chin was the vice principal. He was the vice principal in McLean County.
Yeah.
And he made this big announcement on the intercom. He's like, our very own Cameron Cates is playing tonight, and so we played that show. It was cool. From that show, we got offered to play a show with, do y'all remember the band All Star United?
I do.
No, never heard of them.
Okay.
Silage.
Silage was their opener. They were on kind of like a Tooth and Nail adjacent type label.
Way more poppy though.
Yeah, they were more mainstream, I guess.
Yeah.
Which Audio Adrenaline is mainstream too, but they were not as famous. But we played at Good Shepherd. Well, it was Good Shepherd Church at the time. And Silage's drummer was like, he had like a pork pie kit. And he's like, dude, just use my drums, man. He's like, it's cool. He's like, just use your own cymbals. I was like, okay. So
I forgot about this.
yeah. So dude takes all of his cymbals off, sets them on this huge monitor sitting right beside the drum set. So dad records every one of our shows because he's just dad, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
Still to this day records anything.
Yeah. He does that. So like I remember we're like right in the middle of playing our set, and the freaking cymbal stack that he has set up there just collapses, falls right in the floor. And you can
all these symbols he was like really
Yeah.
concerned about.
and they were nice symbols. I mean, they were all
Yeah.
like a custom like Zildjians. And you can see me on video, just like with this
Freaking the
panic
F
look.
out.
Yeah, this panic look, and I'm just like, oh,
Freaking the out.
exactly. And so it's just funny to look back. Plus, Danny played a song completely out of tune on one of the songs. Sorry, Danny, but it was on video too, and it was, I don't know. So that show was not the greatest, but the sound engineer that did the thing, he's like, "You guys sound like Temple of the Dog, dude. I'm really digging your sound." I was like, "Heck yeah,
Yeah."
You know who Temple of the Dog is?
Yeah.
We're not hungry.
I'm going hungry. Yeah. So
I'm going hungry.
Soundgarden, Pearl Jam.
Right.
Yeah.
So mash up there.
Yeah. So I don't know. So basically, I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
Retired.
Something like that.
Retired rock star.
Retired rock star. I mean,
Now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head.
I'm going. Remember, you made a parody of it, but we can't talk about it though.
Yeah.
We have a bleep button.
You'd have to bleep for like 2 minutes straight. You remember it?
I do. I'm not
Shawn
gonna
Thomas.
sing it, but I remember it.
Yeah, it's kind of honoring.
I shan't sing it, but I remember
I
it.
hope you've repented.
Yeah.
I hope you've metanoid.
I have metanoid.
I remember we did
Should you start saying that instead?
Yeah, I'm doing away with the word repent. I'm just gonna say I'm metanoid. I'm metanoid all over myself.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
Oh my!
Remember we did that?
Oh my gosh!
At church one time, they did like I think it was like a talent show or something, and we redid that song "Cover Me" by Candlebox and put Christian lyrics to it.
No, I don't remember that at all. Actually,
You were singing it and I was playing guitar.
really?
Yeah, it was horrible.
This was a real life event,
No, I swear, I remember it. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
and it was at church.
Yeah.
we did like
It was like out in the outreach center.
Was it like it was? So it was. You said it was like a talent show, gong show type
It was
deal.
something like that, yeah. I don't remember all the details. I just remember I just learned it on guitar and we were like, hey, let's do cover.
You know what? It actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Shawn's a little bit of a singer. You did some clean vocals in a few of the bands we were in.
Yeah, I didn't do it well, but I did it.
Well, you did it. That's all that matters.
I did it. I did it.
I did it. So maybe we should stop bragging on myself.
Yeah,
Fake
you
a little
should
bit.
shut up. Gosh.
So, in your story, did we come all the way back around to the?
Well, we haven't yet to
All right.
like current day, which is the best part, obviously.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, one little quick thing I want to say. So, also during this trying time in the bedroom of my parents' house, my late Uncle Gio, Uncle Gio Wade.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever
I always love that guy.
yeah, dude, curly head guy, he's hilarious.
Epic fro.
Yes,
Yeah, that's where Shawn gets his hair from, actually.
Yeah.
it's definitely a look that you don't forget. Like you see him just with the name, because G.O. is just not a common name, and then you see the face behind the name, and you're like, I'll never forget this guy forever.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in my
Yeah.
memory.
Do y'all know? I know Shawn does, but you know what Gio stands for?
No, not at all.
Geranium Ott.
That makes sense. Actually, it
I'm
makes
like-
complete sense.
So like my
Everything about that makes sense.
my great grandmother, I don't know what she was thinking.
Yeah.
It's like you got Betty, Patty,
The most
Gladys.
normal names.
Geranium Ott.
Yeah.
You know. So, and I remember our grandpa used to call him Reenie, and that drove him insane. I don't really know why he hated it.
There's got to be something to that. There's got to be
Yeah.
a story behind that. Some reason why.
But
it has to be an insult of some sort.
yeah,
I'm
him and
sure.
Grandpa loved to just go at each other. They were
Yeah.
like, if y'all ever seen the movie, what's the one with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah,
Lawless.
Lawless. Yeah,
Lawless, yeah.
Yeah, so like I feel like that movie was made about our grandpa
Yeah.
and like Uncle Gio
Yeah.
because they were bootleggers. They lived in West Virginia.
Mountains of West Virginia.
Yeah, so like that movie kind of reminds me of like maybe what they were like when they were that age. But
Maybe
anyway.
there were some rough cats.
Yeah, dude, I've heard some stories.
If your name is Geranium, you have to be a rough cat.
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have much of a choice.
It's like the song "Boy Named Sue," right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, so he had a vision, I think it was, or a dream. I think pretty sure he told my mom it was a vision. But he's like, I saw Cameron, and he was in this little car, and at the time I was driving a little car. It was like a little Honda Civic or something.
Right.
And he's like, I saw him. He kept going up this hill, and he was just trying to get above this hill, and it was really dark. And he's like, all of a sudden, you saw this like bright light, and once he got above this hill, once he got over the hill, like there was like this whole new world, and it was like he had this huge, like he had this big truck, and he had this huge house, and he was happy, and he was made whole.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, when he told me that, I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess that probably won't happen, you know, but thanks, you know. But let's fast forward to, let's see, almost 3.5 years ago, I met a little lady named Elizabeth Ann Hunter at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to tell you where we met, but it was a dating site. I won't tell you which one.
Farmers only.
Dang it. Yes. But yeah, I'd had a couple little relationships before that. Just, I don't know. I was 40 years old. I've never been single before. I didn't know what to do. So anyway, so we met. We went to this little Mexican restaurant in Newburgh, and it was disgusting. And we both pretended like we liked it.
Disgust.
So, and then we just kind of never stopped seeing each other from there. So, no, we had a connection right off the bat. She is a very kind-hearted woman. She was very accepting of my condition. Pretty much had a really open talk when we first met. I was like, look, here's what I got. You know, I've got this income. I've got this going on with my body. This is what I have to offer you.
Right.
At the time, I had no idea what she had to offer, you know, but we had that discussion. And anyway, we ended up, actually, I'm just going to be honest. We got married. Before we got married, we actually shacked up.
Oh my gosh.
We lived in sin. But here's my take on it. I was married for 20 years.
20 years, really?
Yeah, dude.
Man,
That was insane, right?
doesn't seem that long.
So like,
I know we're old, bro.
How did that happen?
I'll be gosh darn if I'm gonna just marry somebody without living with them.
You gonna go on that test run?
We gonna smell each other's bad breath. We gonna smell each other's poop. We gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
Everybody knows girls don't do that.
right, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
no comment. But I think me and Shawn probably thought that all the way till we were like 30.
Yeah.
Girl.
Mom was really like
She's very, modest. She's
about that.
very
So,
ladylike. Girls don't pass gas. Girls don't burp.
yeah.
Dad does.
Which actually kind of appreciate that.
No, I
Sort of
it's-
ladylike.
I appreciate
Yes.
that too, but not all ladies are like that. So
But-
it's very
Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. I got the vibe like you didn't agree, like you wanted to say something about it.
I don't care.
Okay.
no.
I don't have an opinion one way or another. I don't care.
Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah, I'll just keep bragging on Liz a little bit. So we lived together. I just bought my parents' old house that I grew up in, our whole childhood home.
Yeah.
And we kind of remodeled it together. She got to know the girls. Voice cracked. Got to know the girls.
You 40, huh?
Yeah, 40. Yeah, well, I'm actually 14. And got to know the girls, built a relationship with them. They now call her Little Butt.
Yeah.
Shawn calls her Liza. But her actual name's Elizabeth. But anyway, so yeah, fell in love. I was like, didn't think it would happen twice, but I was wrong. And not to brag, but Uncle Gio had a little something to his dream, because I drive a big old freaking truck. I have a 3-story brick home, and I have a loving, accepting, awesome wife.
Yeah.
And my relationship with my kids has never been better. I spoke on it a little bit earlier about Cammie. I don't know. I think I should. I guess everybody knows my daughter's name's Cammie. But anyway, my oldest daughter's Cammie. Me and her had a little bit of a strained relationship, but she actually taught me a lot. Did I already talk about this?
No.
You just said that she perceived you.
Okay, yeah. So I'm circling back around, I guess. So, like, she actually taught me a lot about. Now, Cammie's always kind of marched to the beat of her own drum. She kind of decided, she was like, you know what? I don't necessarily believe everything that you guys believe.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are kind of hateful. You know, and she kind of came at some people. I mean, she came, you know, I was one of them. And so she really opened up my eyes to a lot of, I don't know, some social issues. It got me thinking about some stuff.
Right.
She kind of put me in some situations where she's like, she made me think. And it really did make me rethink a lot of my views.
Right.
On, you know, not just politics, but, you know, I guess politics and social issues and some stuff like that. So I'm not saying I was a Trumpy and she de-Trumpified me. You could say that if you want.
That's what it sounds like.
I mean, that's probably what she would say.
We're still working on you.
Because she's like, she still calls me a Trumpy sometimes, but.
Trumpy.
Yeah.
I'm Team Cammie on this one. We're still working on you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But yeah, so relationship with her is really awesome now. We're besties. She just joined a sorority. Couldn't be prouder of her. And she's really opened my eyes to some stuff. But yeah, I mean, life is really, I mean, it's like what's George Washington Duke on Rocky V. He told Adrian, he's like, do you like putting your hand in your pants and only feeling your leg? Put some hustle behind this muscle. So I like putting my hand in my pants and no longer just feeling my leg, but now feeling money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you've never seen Rocky V, you're probably lost. But.
And on top of all of it, you're now appearing on the hottest podcast on Spotify.
Yeah, it's like, where do I go from here? Honestly, I have no idea. Is there a far?
No.
Oh. See, I don't know where I could go
This
from here.
podcast
Honestly,
is far.
I mean, after this pod.
You can only go down.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely down here. It's all downhill.
The way's the middle way anyway, right? I mean, there ain't no mountain too high or
Little valley
you make
low.
the valleys something. I don't remember. I'm terrible. As we all learned during the song "Sing Your Truth" episode, I'm terrible with the lyrics.
Sing your truth.
Sounds drunk.
No,
For sure.
Drunk on mango.
Drink on
Monster.
I did drink a Monster, and I had a cup of tea before we started.
Is that matcha?
I don't know what it is actually.
Some brain tea.
It's herbal.
So I feel like I stumbled across my story. I mean, I kind of told it, but like in 15 different parts. But,
That's
you
all
know,
good.
I mean, first time podcaster, you know, long time listener.
It's a lot harder than you think, isn't it?
It really is, you know, because like you have stuff in your mind. I've been thinking ever since I knew I was coming on. I was like, these are the things I want to say, but I don't want to come across this way, and I don't.
Welcome to our life.
But I want to say,
Absolutely.
I want to say this, but I don't want to, you know. And then I'll probably listen back and be like, man, I should have said that, or
You don't want to sound stupid. You don't
yeah,
want
which
to sound like a jerk. You don't want to make anyone mad, but you want to also be truthful.
yeah,
It's a lot.
right.
I think your story is interesting to me because there definitely is a story of perseverance in there because, even the fact that you said, like, there was times when you were at your lowest point and, like, you're putting on the Bible and just listening to it, like, I can tell you when I've been at my lowest points, that wasn't my reaction. Like, I'm just going to be real about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's just all I knew to do. That's just...
Right.
And all that goes from our upbringing, like our parents raised us that way. We have really awesome parents. They don't agree with us on everything. Mainly Shawn. Shawn's the black sheep, but
I definitely am the black sheep.
No. But no, we were raised. I don't blame my mom. I know my mom sometimes, or our mom, feels guilty about, how strict she kind of raised us. But honestly, in the 80s, all the other parents were doing the same stuff. I don't think she ever did anything,
Yeah, I think that there was
not
a lot
in love.
Especially in our circle of
Right.
people.
And you're a father now, like
Sure.
raising kids, like it's not like they give you an instruction manual before you leave the hospital with a baby. Like
Exactly.
they give you no information. We don't know what we're doing. Like
Yeah.
when you're a kid, you think your parents have it all together and they know what they're doing, and then you become a parent and you realize nobody knows what the freak's going on.
That's exactly right.
Well, you also bring things into. I'm speaking as the only not parent here, but
Well,
I know that you bring. You bring things into your parenting that, like, I just know that there are things that you grew up with when you were a kid that you're like, when I have kids, I'm going to do it this way.
Or the opposite way.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, those things, I'm sure, impact the way that you raise your kids, and then
For sure.
you can push back too far the other way, and, there's...
Yeah, definitely.
But I definitely think, even though there's definite, I think that your parents would agree that they probably, if they could go back, there's things that they would say that they would do differently, or maybe they would, say that they weren't perfect or whatever. But like when the rubber met the road and you were at your lowest point,
Yeah.
that was what was ingrained in you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
no, not everybody has that foundation to build upon.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people in my situation could have went the complete opposite direction.
Right.
Went off on a bender and started, doing hard drugs, or, who knows?
Yeah.
And, I've always had that still small voice inside of me that just, that's just kind of always kept me grounded. I don't know. I kind of feel like I didn't spend any time on, like, deconstructing, because I feel like I really have deconstructed. I just don't know how to word it.
Well, that's fine.
It is a hard one to.
Because I do stuff now that I didn't used to do, like, and I do think differently, but I don't really know how to put it into words. It's
Yeah.
I just don't put as much emphasis on, like,
Do you think
sins. Maybe
that's what I was going to say. Do you think it has a little bit to do with maybe like legalism versus grace, or just because of the knowing the background of the church that
Right.
That we used to be in was a little bit more steeped in like holiness codes or whatever. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I think most people that have questioned things or changed, that's usually what it is, right? They've come to drop some of those legalistic, got to dress a certain way, got to look a certain way, got to do this, got to do that, and.
For sure. Yeah, used to. 10 years ago, to see a lady in our church wearing pants, be like, oh, man. Like, I wouldn't necessarily think that, but, like, I think as a whole, the church would be like, that's not kosher,
Right.
But, like, to see, like, our church the way it is now, like, it's just awesome. You got people... still the traditional people up there in their skirts with their long hair or their buns.
Yeah.
Shouting it up. And you got your lady over here in pants or T-shirts or whatever, jeans, and she's
Which I think
praising God too, and it's all the same.
What I think's beautiful about that is like when I read through like the book of Acts, that like the earliest church, I think we have this idea like in our heads growing up in church that like there was like this set thing that was static throughout like the very beginning, the original church, and there was like an original way they did it, and this, but like when you read through the Acts, you kind of realize like they didn't know what they were doing. They were trying to figure it out. Like it specifically talks about like meetings that they had where they were like trying, should we or should we not? Do we have to get circumcised or do we not? Like they were just trying to figure out all this stuff, and so I envision like what you just described being like the early church, where there was like people over here that felt like they needed to do this and they were doing their own thing, and this other person over here was different, had a different background and a different life experience, and they worshiped in a different way, but like they all came together as one community for the same goal, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, I think I don't want to use the word favorite, but like maybe that is the right word. Like the era that our church is in right now is like my favorite that it's ever been. Like, I feel like we're in. I don't know if the word is revival. I don't know if that's the right language for it, but it almost feels like there is some type of revival going on in our church. Like, I mean, in our community also. You know, our church is packed on Sunday. I mean, especially on Sunday nights.
Yeah,
and it's just like
we've had a lot of people from other churches,
people that you would never imagine showing up to the church, and it's like, what?
I just think there's something about being real.
Yeah, dude.
When you, especially like when you go to one of those like traditions that is more steeped in legalism and holiness codes and stuff, there's this that to the outsiders that looks so holier than thou. It looks so judgmental, and so, even if that's not what you're doing, to the outside looking in, that's how it appears.
Yeah.
So people maybe don't feel as safe or as welcome in an environment like that. But when you're just being real and like, look, we admit that we don't have it all going on. We don't have it all right. We don't know what's going on any more than you do. We're just trying our best. Then everybody feels welcome. They're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I like that idea. None of us have it all figured out. None of us are perfect, and we're just all trying to. We're all on this. There's one teacher that I have read. He's not a Christian teacher, but he's a spiritual guy. His name is Ram Dass, and he one of his sayings is, "We're all just walking each other home."
Yeah,
and I like that because I think it applies like regardless of your faith tradition. Like ultimately, we're just walking each other home, man. We're just trying to make it, trying to do our best. I mean,
right.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I mean, as someone who's been there my entire life, I mean, since conception, I guess I've been there. It's just like I've seen it go through so many phases, and this is just, I don't know. I feel like there was a time when we had gotten down to like just. A handful of people. And
yeah, I mean, at one time there was more people on the platform playing music.
Yeah, that's kind of always been
especially like on Wednesday nights. We didn't have hardly anybody. Before we started doing the Bible study and we were just having like a normal church service, we had almost nobody.
Yeah,
that's really where
Wednesday night services.
I say, and I'll brag on Shawn, my brother here for a minute, and Sal, but I think really that's kind of what started everything, in my opinion, is the Bible study. And Shawn and Sal coming in there with, hey, I believe this, and it's okay for me to believe this. What do y'all think? And then I think it spawned from there. Like, I think you guys almost started a revolution inside the church. Like, I don't know how to say it right, but it's just like by going in there and like asking tough questions and being honest, it's really made paths for other people who maybe didn't feel like they could before.
I could see that.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm sure we definitely stirred things up when we rejoined the community.
Sometimes you have to stir the waters.
That's right.
I will say, I don't think we were the originators, though. There were people.
No, I'm not saying.
I know I wasn't.
No, I'm not saying you were the originators, but I was saying, to me, in my head, that I feel like that was.
Which the funny thing is it never was. That was never the intent either. At least for me, like I never go into like a Bible study or go into the church doors thinking like I'm gonna F stuff up today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's never the intent. But really the intent is just like, well, I guess it stems from the church's openness, really, because for the first time in a long time, I felt like it was a safe space to share that, hey, look, I've done a lot of study and a lot of reading and a lot of listening, and this is what the conclusion that I've come to. And before the environment didn't feel, even if it was safe, my perception of it was that it didn't feel like a safe environment to say that. Right. And then once that it did become that safe space, it allowed to ask the tough questions, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and props to Uncle Steve, Brother Steve, for creating that, environment.
Yeah.
He,
and
I wouldn't have his job for anything.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
And I would say, I want to emphasize that, what I said, because it may have never even been a reality that it wasn't a safe space. It was just my perception. And now I understand that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, there's no way to know, but for whatever reason, that was my perception of things. And like, I guess whatever whatever we perceive is our reality. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think it's came a really long way, and I like the way it's going. I mean, at this rate, we might have to look into adding on or relocating. I mean,
Yeah, there's been talk of it.
yeah.
You know?
I think that if things continue on the path that they are, we're definitely going to need some more space somewhere. So
Yeah, I mean, definitely new drums too. You know, I mean, probably. You know, I would say at least a new set of drums, right?
We probably do need a travel kit,
Yeah, yeah.
so we don't have to tear that kit down every time we want to go play out somewhere.
You don't be taking a DW Collectors series apart and traveling with it.
That's stupid.
That's stupid.
That's stupid.
And that Laudo snare drum, shout out Laudo drums.
Loudo.
Joe Christian.
yeah, and let me just go ahead and apologize for my dogs. They've been barking this entire episode, and I am so sorry.
That's all good.
They're being. It's not all good.
It's really not. It's not all good with me.
Oh, okay.
They have never ever done this before.
Well,
Not one single time.
maybe it's just because I'm a stranger, you know,
Stranger danger.
or maybe we should just
Possibly.
scratch this whole episode and just redo it.
No, we're not redoing anything.
Nope.
Oh,
We've already learned our lesson from that. We're never
okay.
doing it again.
We shan't.
Shan't. You won't allow it. So,
Coco just wants to be on the pod.
so
Yeah, wherever we're, because eventually we're going to have to get a more permanent setup
Yeah.
instead of tearing everything down and setting it back up. So whenever we set it up, we're going to have to make sure that there are no dogs
Yeah, I agree.
in the background.
I'm not so sure that they're going to be that prominent in the audio because the kind of mics that we have, but they're definitely going to be able to hear them.
Yeah, I'm sure you will be able to hear them at some points.
Jerks.
Yeah, it'd be
just
like that.
stinking mutts.
Well, we about ready to wrap this thing up.
I mean, I
Or
reckon.
do you have more things you want to
No, I mean, I
talk about?
mean, I feel like this has went by really quickly, which is a good thing, I guess.
Well, we've been going for an hour and 38 minutes, so it's not
Okay.
like short or anything. If that's what you're worried about.
No,
You're not on a time limit though. If you got more to say,
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
I'm trying to think back. I jumped around so much that I'm just like trying to think there's stuff that I didn't maybe get out that I wanted to. I don't know. I guess.
let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead and ask the
How
questions if
is
you
your like with your health situation today to where it was before?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because that has gotten better also. So about a year, maybe a little over a year ago, I'd been taking a drug called Humira. It's just like a weekly injection that you take in your stomach or your leg, whatever. And it didn't do anything for me. And then my dermatologist suggested medication. It's actually a infusion. So it's called Remicade, and it's actually given to people with like Crohn's, people that have like arthritis, really bad arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. But it actually was approved for use for HS, my disease. And so basically every 4 weeks I go to the outpatient infusion center at the hospital there, and I get it it's between 4 and 5 hours, and I get the infusion, IV infusion, and it has really helped with my mobility. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where, I still have like flare-ups. There's a lot of triggers that cause them. Stress is the number one cause of flares. So
So you need to chill the freak out.
I need to chill the freak out. Yeah. So
You need to get that card.
get that card, son. But yeah, that, and then smoking, which I don't smoke, so don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ultimately, yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot better. I'm still not like I mean, it's still noticeable. I have a super high pain tolerance. I've always felt like I've had that. So I don't complain. And that's why I think a lot of people are like, is Cam good? Like, what's Cam do? Like, does he just not work? Is he just lazy or something? Like, I don't know. That's just self-conscious me talking, you know.
No one's ever asked me that.
Well,
but
and they
that
probably
doesn't
would,
mean.
you know. No, I just, like I said, it's just me being self-conscious because, yeah, and it is tough because, like, you know, what's the first question most people when you meet a new guy? Like,
Yeah. So what do you do?
hey man, what do you do for a living? It's like, oh, I have this really rare, weird disease, and
Who's your daddy? What does he do?
yeah. So yeah, I mean that's tough. That's tough as a guy, you know.
Well, let me ask you this hard question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So just share however much you want to, because
Sure.
I don't know, like I don't want to push any buttons on it or whatever. But
No, you're good.
how do you let me think about how I want to phrase this, because you said that you'd gotten prayer for healing several times through this, and that you're still battling this disease. So where do you how do you deal with all that? How does your faith stay strong through that?
That is a tough one, honestly. I'm glad you brought that up because I mean that's with healing. It's like, do I believe it can happen? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen to me? I don't know. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to stop asking.
Right.
You know, for healing. You know, we're having these immersion services at church, where a lot of people, we're seeing a lot of miracles. A lot of people are getting healed from certain things. I do view healing as like, sometimes it's not what we think it looks like. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's not always like a complete supernatural healing. Like, you know, with Gus, you know, he went into the waters, couldn't eat anything on a hoof, and then he came out the next morning and was eating bacon sandwiches. It's not always instant like that.
Right.
So, you know, it could be like they find a new drug that increases my mobility by 90%.
Right.
To me, that's a healing. That's a miracle. You know, it's
absolutely.
It's not, you know, a supernatural thing or something like that. But, and I feel like maybe sometimes healing comes in the form of death. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that because that's part of the way that I pray now is like, because I really do believe that it's always God's will, that God intends to heal,
sure,
deliver, restore, make whole everyone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That eventually everything will be made right. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah.
So whenever I pray for people, because I believe that is God's will, I pray the Lord's Prayer, right? I let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Right.
Like whatever this meant, this healing that I know by his stripes we're healed. By this healing that I know has already been accomplished, let it begin to manifest here and now.
Right.
That's how I usually pray.
Well, I always think too back to like Paul, the Apostle Paul, in the New Testament. You know, I'm pretty sure it says that he prayed for healing from whatever his thorn in the flesh was 3 times, and then after that he was just like, "This is just God's will for me," and he just
Yeah.
And I mean, if the Apostle Paul, you know, like if he didn't get it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, like Little John, you know.
But I know too, you know, like I can a little bit relate. I don't have any physical ailments, but like with the infertility thing, you know, like me and Kelly prayed. We both got prayer. We had people prophesy over us, on and on, you know. And it wasn't until we got to our lowest points to where we were like, I'd completely given up on the fact that this would happen. And then it does. You know what I'm saying? It was like
Right.
it's like I had to reach that low point to where like I had completely lost faith in it, and then that's when it happened. And also, to your point about like the medicine, like we went through IVF, we tried all these different things, and it was through IVF, right? Like
Exactly.
I still I don't think that takes away from the miracle of it.
Exactly. No. Because, I mean, I feel like if we believe God created all things and then he created the technology, the people that made this
Exactly.
this technology, able for you guys to be able to do that. So,
and then knowing the story of the birth, and like the only way that Kelly's here walking in the door right now to see this is because it was a divine. You can't convince me that it wasn't a divine miracle, that those doctors that were there, and there just happened to be an extra doctor that was there that specialized in this kind of thing. Like,
yeah, for sure.
no, it wasn't some kind of miraculous, somebody laid hands and then boom, well, but you can't tell me it wasn't a miracle.
Right.
No,
You know?
100%, yeah. Some things you just better off trying to not explain.
Right.
Yeah. And earlier I said little John, and like, yeah. But I meant little James. Little James.
Little James.
So I need to correct myself.
Lil James, the chosen.
Little James. Hey, what little James do? But now, yeah, that's a good one. That little James from The Chosen,
Oh yeah, that'll get you.
which that's coming out in theaters, right?
That'll get you all kind of tore up watching that scene between him and Jesus.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I've said this 1,000 times. What's the guy that plays Jesus?
Jonathan Rumi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I swear, I really hope that's Jesus when we get to heaven.
That he's actually Jesus.
Yeah, he's actually Jesus. Because, like, that's just like I feel like he's the perfect Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be so cool if he was Jesus.
His portrayal of Jesus is my favorite one that I've
That's
seen.
what I'm really
for sure.
saying.
Yeah.
I'm just being stupid. But yeah, yeah. He's my favorite Jesus of all the Jesuses I've ever Jesused in the whole world
That makes sense.
in my 43 years.
Jesus.
I like to imagine Jesus as a little baby.
Yeshua.
Yeah.
8 pounds and 3 ounces.
I don't know.
Doesn't even know his shapes and colors.
Oh my God.
Yeshua.
What other nuggets do you got for us?
I love what they're doing to you.
Kel, got her eyes closed, hands raised, praising the Lord over here.
I got one little thing.
All right, drop it to us.
It's not really a nugget, but like it's a question because like I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, where would you fall like in your theology, like to me, like right now? And
I don't even know what that question means.
So they were basically like, you guys say you're universalists, correct or no?
Yeah.
Or hopeful universalist?
I think I'm
mean-
more than hopeful. Like I would label myself as I prefer what was it, Ultimate Redemption, maybe.
Ultimate redemption.
Ultimate, okay.
I believe in ultimate redemption. I believe in it pretty confidently, as confident as one can be without actually
Yeah.
while still remaining humble enough to know. I don't know, man.
Right.
So is there a certain label? Like TC is a Calvinist.
Is he?
So like,
I mean,
I'm saying,
he
so
talks
what are
like
you?
one sometimes.
No, I'm joking, TC. But like, what? Like, if,
I
if
don't
someone's
have a
like,
label.
I mean, obviously you're a Christian, but like, like,
I just try to follow Jesus, man.
yeah,
Yeah, that is a hard one. I really don't like labels, and I say I don't like labels, but I'm also comfortable using, like I am comfortable saying that I'm universalist. I mean, I would refer to myself as a progressive Christian. Like I'm comfortable using that term.
yeah,
Just simply because I think that on the spectrum of things, like if you go down the checklist of like, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Do you believe this? That's the side of the spectrum that I tend to fall closer to. But I also don't really want to label myself in, especially because like I'm the kind of person that likes to think if presented the right kind of evidence or it's the right kind of, like I understand that I don't have it all figured out. And if I could change my mind on this, like I'm not. That's one of the things that always cracked me up about modern politics is like when somebody changes their mind on a topic and we're like, look at this flip-flopper, they're changing their mind. And I'm like, I think that's a good thing. Like if you're presented evidence that shows that you like, hey, what you used to believe is wrong, you should be able to change your mind on that. And that is like a good thing.
yeah.
So like,
sure.
Yeah.
when you use labels, I feel like you sort of label yourself into like, I can never change and I don't want to do that. But
Yeah.
I think that's, if I was to try to describe it, that's probably where I would fall. I mean, I definitely do fall on more of a progressive spectrum of it.
Yeah. I think I just said I don't know if this is really what I would say, but I am like a hopeful universalist. Like I think I hope that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us will really know.
Right.
But I also I've thought this before, like when we get to heaven or whatever that looks like, as Uncle Steve would say, like, are we really going to be like, dude, there's Hitler. How the crap did he get in? You know what I mean? Or like, there's fill in the blank.
Right.
Like, we're not going to know.
I'm gonna be like, "There's Cameron. How did he get here?"
Right. I probably won't be.
Don't let anybody in here.
Yeah, but
I think if that's your reaction, then you're
probably not there.
You're not in heaven.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like people, like, why worry about it now when it's not really going to matter then? Because, like, why worry about who's going where? Or like,
Right. Well, that's why I really like.
Yeah.
I think the idea of being a hopeful universalist is a pretty healthy spot to be, because I would want to think that would be everybody's natural inclination, right? Like, who wants to think that there are people suffering for all eternity? At the very least, I think being hopeful. I mean, I think even that Pope Francis recently said that, right? That he said that I'm hopeful that hell is empty, or I hope that it is, or something to that effect. Like,
yeah, there's been a lot of people. There's more people than we realize. There's a lot of people that just won't say it.
yeah,
a lot of closeted.
yeah.
There's a lot of closeted
Universal.
Coming out of the closet.
I mean, and it's kind of, I don't know. We're gonna get on a rant here, but because I just know I've just heard too many stories from people that, like, there's people because there's a sort of stigma, I guess, about universalism. Like, there's a lot of people that just won't come out right and say it because they don't want to be accused of anything, or they don't want to be. I mean, there's some people that hold, like, academic positions and pastoral positions, and they don't want to lose their jobs and things like that. And I don't want anyone to think I'm talking about anyone that we know, because I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just in general. I've heard.
Well, I've definitely heard it on
before.
podcasts before, like people talking about that. Like, you go to seminary and you spend all this money, and then you get in student loan debt, and you have a family, and you've got these bills to pay, and then you're 10 years into your ministry, and come to find out I no longer believe all those things I used to believe. And then it's like,
yeah.
if I turn my back on all that, though, I lose my source of income. I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. I'm not going to be able to support my family. I've got all these student loan bills to pay. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people almost kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, associate people that have that stance as almost like as of a political party, like being woke or being a bleeding heart liberal, snowflake, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That
I would say I'd fit the stereotype
well, I mean,
pretty well.
obviously, yeah. I mean, we all know where Sal is in this, but yeah, I mean, is that fair?
I'm not doing the cause any justice there.
Well, you know,
I mean, is it fair that there's maybe a stereotype about that? Maybe, but
I didn't know. I just didn't know if that was.
There's plenty of people, like universalists, that I know, like pretty well known ones that, you know, in the universalist space, that are actually really conservative.
I got you.
You know, so I mean, it just kind of depends. You don't have to be. It's not like you have to be a liberal.
Right.
Or progressive to believing in universal salvation. Literally, all you have to do is believe that when Jesus said he would draw all people to himself, that he meant it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That all means all.
That all means all.
Yeah.
I would say that with my like political ideas and my like liberalness, I guess, my left-leaning tendencies doesn't really have any play in my universalist tendencies. It's more, I would say that plays more into, I would argue, taking the teachings of Jesus seriously and applying them. Like, you know, I always talk about not just talking about Jesus didn't come to show us how to die, but how to live.
Right.
And like, I feel like if you take those words seriously, if you take those teachings seriously, I mean, I completely acknowledge that I'm not the smartest person in the world, and that I could be completely wrong in this, but my current view of that is if you take that seriously, there's only kind of one political, the only one side of the political spectrum is living that up, in my opinion. And I'm not here to preach that message to anybody. They believe whatever you want to politically. That's just the way that it works for me.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why. I mean, I always think it's funny because like that's a lot of people would push back against me on my political stances, and I'm literally, because of my Christianity, is the reason why I am that way.
Yeah.
Which is the complete opposite of what some people would accuse.
Yeah.
I tend to fall. I mean, I'm not a political guy anyway, but I tend to fall somewhere in the center. But you know that changes all the time too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
For
think
me
so.
personally, it does.
I have backed off a lot on the political side, which is just, I mean, I think it's more of I've dropped his name the last several times, becoming my new Chris Green. But Shane Claiborne, he wrote a book. I haven't read his book yet, but it's the Jesus for President. It's definitely on my list to read. But he kind of talks a little bit about how even if you're regardless of what side of the spectrum you fall on, like our allegiance is to his kingdom.
Yeah,
and I don't know. That's sort of that's part of why I've pulled back on politics some. I still believe in the causes, and that we should, as Christians, stand up for what's right. We should always stand up for justice. We should always stand up for mercy, and compassion, and I believe those are things that we should always fight for all people. But ultimately, I don't think that my hope isn't in a political party. No, my hope is certainly not in Joe Biden, and my hope is most definitely not in Donald Trump. I can tell you that.
My hope is in the gospel.
Right.
My hope is in
you. Third day said,
like the hope for, all the, like what we're talking about, the lowly, those that need, my hope is that the Great Commission is successful. My hope is that, we may actually go out and make disciples of all nations, and that my hope is that everyone actually takes Jesus' words seriously. Because if the world would just take Jesus' words seriously, then we could solve everything.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I don't think people just don't really know what they're saying most of the time. Like,
well, whenever you've reduced it down to like believing the right things and saying the right things, and you reduce holiness to a list of outward appearance things that have nothing to do with loving your neighbor as yourself. And I think that's what we've made all of this about, and that's not helping anybody.
Yeah.
Other than like making yourself feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
That's not.
I didn't mean to get us started on politics. Sorry.
Well, we didn't. I mean, like I said, my goal it's the same as like what I always tell people when like we get into conversation about is this certain thing a sin or is it not a sin. Like my goal is never to teach you this is a sin or this isn't a sin, because I don't know, and it's not my place to judge. I've not been called to judge. Like I don't know.
Right.
As long as we all can agree that we should love everybody and treat everybody with respect and kindness, then that's all I care about. And then I feel the same way politically. Like I may not agree with you politically. I don't think and we can have certain discussions on certain topics, and I'm happy to share my opinions and thoughts on those, but I don't have any interest in trying to convince you why you're wrong and I'm right. Like, because maybe I'm not right. Like,
yeah.
That's just the way that I understand it.
It's not healthy. It just doesn't get any, it just creates division, I feel like.
And to be fair, I haven't always thought that way, as anybody who's followed me on social media would know.
Yeah.
So the person that asked you, they were asking you specifically about universalism, or they were just
not
asking
necessarily,
you?
just like what, where are you at with your, I don't even remember what I said. I just like, I don't know. I'm just a follower of Christ. Like I just got to do.
I think that's the best way to be. Really,
I don't have a label. Like I'm not in a club or anything. Like I don't pay dues to like any certain name or anything like that. I just try to live like Jesus and love like Jesus, and the rest falls in place.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
any more brain busters?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a question like that, I would have to know, like, what are we talking about? Do you want to know like, how I feel about the Bible, or like how I feel about like eschatology, or how I feel about theosis, or
Tell them. Say their name.
I don't know.
Who was it?
I don't remember.
I demand to know. Was it TC?
Can you hit the bleep button? I'll say it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
So yeah.
How dare they?
I can't. I know, right? You're not surprised now, are you?
What a scumbag that guy is, or gal,
or girl.
or that person.
We'll never know.
Maybe they're non-binary.
We're gender neutral here.
Could be.
Doesn't matter.
Trans. Oh man, I've had to learn so much of that stuff. Thank God for Cammie, my college student kid. She keeps me in the in the know with all the pronouns and all that good stuff.
All the tings.
I still probably mess stuff up a lot, but
Oh yeah,
I don't
sure.
mean to. And then Kobe, her middle school slang is hilarious. All the Riz and the skibbity toilets and the
So what?
toilets.
yeah, that's a so like when we were in school, if you said like if you got game, now it's Riz.
Right. That one I knew.
Oh, okay.
It's the toilet thing you said.
Yeah, skibbity toilet.
Skibbity.
It's some
toilet.
kind of I don't know.
Is that something you do in the bathroom?
Sounds like it. And then they say like, it's so preppy in here. It's so preppy.
So what does that mean?
Like cool, I guess. But like I'm like
Interesting.
preppy to me is like Zach Morris. You know what I mean? Like that's literally his nickname.
So Mark Paul Gosselaar in here.
Right. Hey, Tiffany Amber Thiessen just turned 50, by the way.
Man, that'll make you feel old.
That's
huh?
crazy. And she's still my crush, by the way. Sorry, Liz. But yeah, she looks really.
Kelly
she looks the
Kapowski.
same for 50. She was Kelly Kapowski. I'll tell you what. But yeah,
You're older than us, though.
Kelly was
Little
never my
bit.
favorite one on there.
come on. Who you got, Jesse? Lisa?
Jesse.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Elizabeth Berkley. She's still kicking. Yeah. But no, I don't guess I have any more gems to share. Appreciate you guys letting me
You know what? We
be the
appreciate
first
you.
one.
At no point during your incoherent rambles
That's what it feels like. Seriously. I might have to get a copy of this and have Shawn like edit half of it out.
you have been awarded no
No.
points, and may God have mercy on your
your
soul.
Yeah. If you don't know what movie that's from, then
You're too young to be listening to
kick
this shit.
rocks,
punch
you
in the
nerd.
face. You're not cool unless you pee your pants. Yeah, we were talking about Adam Sandler on the way up here, actually.
We were.
Used to have the cassette tape. They're all going to laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
We used to have one. It was whatever one. He in the CD. There's one track where he goes to see like a hypnosis person, and like the hypnosis person keeps farting, and then but blaming Adam Sandler, who's the patient, and he's like,
Oh,
"I
yeah.
didn't do that. That was you." And I remember listening to that when I was a little kid, and I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sandler's a genius. He's been at it for many years. Still doing it. Now he's got his kids in the biz.
Yeah.
But
In the biz with the Riz.
cool dude. I like old Adam.
Yeah.
So the Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So yeah. Again, thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me in your home. Kelly and Nathan. Beautiful, beautiful home.
Sorry that my dogs barked at you the whole time.
Yeah, it's all good. I'd bark at me too,
They was cussing you.